I was attacked a couple of years ago when I started talking about it, called crazy and conspiracy theorists. Well, now Americans are finding out this is very real. It's been happening for a very long time, and it has very consequential and even deadly results, unfortunately and tragically, on people and property.
Absolutely, Congresswoman. I know you got to go, and we've been very gracious with the time. But I just want to say this. I can see a big issue, know the facts, have my view, and then I literally go look on your X account, and it's word for word what I haven't even said yet on air. It's like we're simpatico because we're got a big knowledge base, we're researching, and we're not just looking at it minute to minute, two-dimensionally. We're looking at it three-fourths dimensionally. And I got to say, you are hands down the best congressperson we've got. I hope you become president someday, and you're just amazing. 60-second question, I'll let you go.
Okay.
Do you have any inside baseball? I've got some, maybe I can tell you off air, about who told Trump that we should just move on from this and, direct people to shut down this investigation? Obvious giant fiasco. It looks good that he's starting to back out of that and understands nothing to hide, bring it out. Do we have any idea why the hell this giant Epstein fiasco started?
Well, I can only speculate publicly, but I can talk to you offline about it, and I would like to do that. But I think that we know that it's not just the American government that is involved or was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. I believe it's foreign countries' governments. Some people have said Israel. It may be Israel. It could be the UK. We don't actually know. I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence, so I can't give a concrete explanation based on the evidence. However, those are the speculations. And guess what? It's not wrong to speculate that. And it's not wrong to say that. And I really encourage everyone that continues to ask questions. This has been the first fracture in MAGA, and we don't want this to happen anymore.
Congresswoman, let's talk soon. You let me know the time. I'd love to brief you because we've got actually some documents on that. And it's very astute what you said. It's MI6 Mossad. The Brits are on record kind of creating the pedophile control system in the last 70 years. Mossad has picked up heavily on it. The former Israeli prime minister, got caught at Epstein's lair a lot in New York. But it's actually a joint group. And you're absolutely right that that's the pressure that is becoming to bear with the CIA saying, hey, this is intelligence, a joint operation. The CIA was involved as a junior partner. That's just the facts. And you got Robert Maxwell, and it was the head guy running this for MI6 Mossad on record. Then you have his daughter running the franchise. Basically, Epstein was under her, and that's why this is overall being suppressed. And it's the agencies trying to defend themselves. So I'd love to brief you on that. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and I look forward to speaking to you again. You're saying this is a terrible idea. We know there's all these Epstein files, not just a client list. We know there's 14 terabytes of videos. We know Bondi said it's Epstein raping kids, and now, it's porn. And no, it's not him. Trump does want to move on. He's got all these other big issues like trying to stop nuclear war. But at the end of the day, this is about bringing down the deep state, not taking it over, not defending it. So that is the facts. All right, I want to play a very important John Bowne report that just broke, dealing with the UN treaty to take over our lives, our medical systems, and our government. But they're still trying to sneak through. Elon helped shoot it down 8 months ago. They tried to pass it in the last spending bill before the BBB. And it's back. So I want to, who medical tyranny amendment set to drop? I want to get to that report. We'll post it on X at Real Alex Jones. It's on Band.video right now. And then I want to come back and get into the Russia situation that she was just alluding to. That is the most dangerous yet. And if you think bombing Iran was dangerous, rolling the dice and Russian roulette, this is literally Russian roulette. I mean, if there's 6 bullets in the cylinder, bombing Iran was 1 bullet, 5 empty. You spin it, you pull the trigger. There's 1 chance out of 6 you blow your brains out and get nuclear war. Bombing Moscow with U.S. giant 2,000-pound missiles that we direct with our satellites is like putting 3 bullets in the cylinder and spinning it. I mean, literally 50-50 chance nuclear war. So Russia doesn't care about its tariff threats. It's made Russia stronger. So now Trump is threatening to bomb them way beyond what Biden did. And the Russians go, okay, get ready for nuclear war. We're going to hit your military bases. I mean, they've officially said that. And just a little news flash, you know, a little bit about the Russians. I mean, we wouldn't put up with this. This is cuckoo town. This isn't going to starting to fight with the Iraqis or the Iranians. This is the biggest nuclear power in the world. You know, we got a bunch of super weapons. It doesn't matter. A bunch of their submarine missiles will get in. We're all dead. Or you'll be wishing you were dead. And the collapse of civilization that comes out of it will make Viggo Mortensen's The Road look like a walk in the park. It'll make Road Warrior, a 1980s classic with Mel Gibson, look like a utopia compared to a limited nuclear war. One Russian submarine with cruise missiles and Polaris-style ballistic missiles. Even if our anti-missile defense system's knocked out 80% of the missiles it launches, one of the damn things has 5 to 10 warheads in it. You're going to miss them. One submarine could take out every major city in the United States if we didn't stop the missiles. They got 30, 40 of the damn things off our coast right now. Probably more. Just give you a little, you're like, well, we got that too. Yeah. That's why it's called mutually assured destruction. Because you'd have to be as mad as a hatter to be part of it. And this is the threat escalation ladder. Remember Biden 2.5 years ago? Well, we can't send F-16s or Abrams tanks. That's World War III on the escalation ladder. And now we're already bombing hundreds of miles in, drone attacks 4,000 miles inside Russia. You know, the CIA's behind that. And now, oh, let's rain down heavy cruise missiles on their asses that are run by the U.S. Fabulously horrible idea. Trump gives Putin deadline as World War III fears spike with Moscow range cruise missile deal. It's just, you can't make this up. Ivan Raiklin with the inside scoop of what's going on in the battle for the White House right now. It's not enough to get Trump in. Now we got a tug of war with the globalist over who's going to control the agenda. Oh, the neocons and the globalists and the Israelis don't like us as constituents having our voices heard. That's treason. No, it's treason when foreign governments manipulate our policies. So I proudly criticize Trump when he's on a wrong course, because that's my right as a citizen and my right as somebody that put him in there right along with you. Here's John Bowden's report. We'll go to break, come back with the huge news.
The next pandemic is not a question of if, but of when. And we cannot afford to repeat the same mistake of the past. That's why WHO's member states are negotiating a new pandemic accord and amendments to the international health regulations to strengthen the legal framework for the global response to pandemics. And we can't stop there. We must follow through with national ratification and accountable implementation. For the sake of future generations, we must not go back to the old cycle of panic and neglect that left our world vulnerable.
My amendment here is very simple. It says that if a treaty has a law in it that has the bearing on United States citizens, on our domestic activities, then it has to follow the lawmaking process of the Constitution.
The World Health Organization's international health regulations, updated in 2005 and amended in 2014, claim to be designed to stop the spread of infectious diseases worldwide by requiring countries to report health emergencies and maintain strong surveillance systems in place, according to the Pan-American Health Organization.
The resolution, including the amendments contained in document A77/A/com./14, is adopted.
But with new amendments set to kick in on July 19th, 2025, the clock is ticking, as unelected officials in Geneva will have the power to penetrate sovereign countries with lockdowns and vaccine mandates. This amendment could hit the Western world in places like Australia, the US, the UK, and Canada, where people didn't vote for this oversight. Most people don't even realize it's happening. Add to that, digital IDs create another dystopian layer. It could lead to a surveillance-based technocracy where governments track every move. California's rollout of digital driver's licenses and a January 2025 executive order from former President Joe Biden are pushing this forward, turning phones into tools that could enforce global health rules. Worse still, this could spiral into dystopian outcomes like forced quarantines in isolated government camps, mandatory health implants for real-time monitoring, and a Chinese-style social credit system where compliance with the World Health Organization directives determines access to jobs, travel, or food. If these amendments are enforced, nations could potentially be obligated to set up local enforcement bodies that answer to the World Health Organization, not their own voters or courts, leading to a future where dissenters are silenced through digital blacklisting, or where entire regions are locked down indefinitely based on global health decrees.
And the premise is for the World Health Organization, the Director General can still declare public health emergency. Sure, he kind of has to go to the committee and make sure that there is some kind of agreement, but he gets to appoint the committee members. So do you think there's going to be any resistance towards him declaring this public health emergency? No. We both know there won't be any. And he can still issue the quarantine, isolation, tell us what type of diagnostic treatments, vaccines we have to recommend. He can restrict travel into the area. He can institute there is still that vaccine passport language is a little bit different, but it's still there.
And the WHO has been counting on the fact that people will not pay attention, and if they try to pay attention, they will find it confusing and bureaucratic, and they will think the World Health Organization doesn't really have any power, and so they will just ignore it. And that is the opposite of the right reaction. We have to kill this off dead. That is the only way to send the message that this was a completely unacceptable overreach from the get-go, and that no part of it is tolerable to us, no matter how mild they make it sound. We know what they're up to, as you point out, by looking at the earliest drafts and seeing the jaw-dropping powers that they were attempting to commandeer.
This accord is a generational opportunity that we must seize.
The Mockingbird media is predictably staying quiet on what could be.
I need support. We are maxed out, and I can do so much more in offense, guaranteed beat them even faster in court. Last week, I was extremely critical of Trump and the 180 on the Epstein files that we know are there. Not just a customer list. And I said, we're here to get Trump to course correct and appoint a special counsel. Now they're announcing that that's what they're planning to do. You see, we engaged. We're in a battle for control of influence in the White House with the globalists and different factions. That's why their talking points are, we're traitors when we criticize bad things and directions Trump's going. No, we're the American people. We are the plan. So we trust ourselves and our conscience, the Bill of Rights and Constitution and the Bible, and our forebears. And now there's more coming out that Trump is going to appoint a special counsel. That's coming up. Trump wants to, quote, set things right. Well, haven't we been vindicated again? Not about me being vindicated, it's you being vindicated. 99% of you were totally pissed about this. And Trump heard it and understood it and realized he was given bad advice. So now let's keep the pressure on. This was a deep state trap. I explained it in the first hour. It's being archived to X right now if you missed it. It's important. And banned out video. But I was already planning to cover this, as I said last hour, right now. And then just minutes ago, Trump, out in the Rose Garden, about to board Marine One, said, these reports that I'm going to give long-range missiles to Zelensky to bomb Moscow are not true. Though Trump previously, a year ago plus, to hold fundraisers, that he told Putin and Xi Jinping when he was first in office, if you ever invade a neighboring country, I will bomb your capitals. And we know the neocons and the globalists have been pushing to give these missiles, even under Biden, to Zelensky so they can bomb Moscow, which will take us right into Armageddon, as the Russians have warned. Well, just a few minutes ago, while we were on break, Trump said, no, we're not giving them long-range missiles to hit Moscow. That is a wonderful clarification and is great news. You heard MTG very concerned 30 minutes ago on air talking about it. So this is all developing in live time. But according to neocons and the left, we're supposed to, as Republican constituents and citizens, just shut up and do whatever the neocons want. You don't tell Trump what you want. You don't criticize escalating war. You don't criticize keeping fluoride in the water the administration is now pushing for. You sit down and you shut up. That's what an American does. They trust the plan, whatever the corporate media says. No, we are the plan. So here's Trump.
50 days, what happens now? Do you talk to Vladimir Putin?
Well, at the end of 50 days, if we don't have a deal, it's going to be too bad.
But what happens? Should Zelensky get more aggressive?
Yeah, the tariffs are going to go on and other sanctions go on.
Should Zelensky target Moscow? Should Zelensky target Moscow, sir? Should Zelensky target Moscow or deeper into Russia?
No, he shouldn't target Moscow.
Is that why you gave him more weapons, though?
No, we're not looking to do that.
Mr. President, why are you giving Mr. Putin 50 additional days to prosecute this war against?
Oh, I don't think 50 days is very long, and it could be sooner than that. I don't think 50 days is very long.
Mr. President,
you should have asked that same question to Biden. Why did he get us into this war? You should ask that question. Yeah, and what did he tell you? Why did he get us into this war? You know why he got us in? Because he's a dummy, that's why, and you don't cover it right. But you should be asking that question to Biden. Why did he get us into this war? Because he's incompetent. It would have never happened if I were president. So we made a deal with Indonesia. I spoke to their really great president, very popular.
All right, let's stop there. And by the way, on the economic front, massive victories that we need to get to coming up. I want to cover some of the positive stuff, the border stuff. It's amazing. They got all these Islamic leaders from New York to Minnesota saying we aren't from America, we don't like America, on their policy platform, running for mayor, Senate, you name it. I mean, these people, I got a bunch of that. Believe me, I don't want to be spending all my time on this Epstein stuff, but it's an issue of who's advising Trump. Why is he making these terrible decisions and that we're able to get him off of? Now, here's Trump at a fundraiser over a year ago. This had already broken them, and now we have the audio saying what he told Xi Jinping and Putin behind the scenes. Here it is.
To Putin, I said, if you go in to Ukraine, we're going to bomb out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice. The public wants the public. So he goes like, I don't believe you. He said, no way, and I said, way. And then he goes like, I don't believe you, but the truth is he believed me 10%. And I told you this, he believed me 10%. Then I'm with President Xi of China, but I said the same thing to them. I said, you know, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb the out of Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, Beijing, you're going to bomb Beijing. I said, I have no choice. I got to bomb them. We're going to bomb Beijing. And he didn't believe me either, except 10%. And 10% is all you need. In fact, 5% would have been okay too. And we never had a problem. We would have never had a problem.
So that's what's going on behind the scenes. Russia warns of nuclear Armageddon after Trump's latest Ukraine move, which Trump's now saying he didn't really say. Trump gives Russia 50 days to make Ukraine deal. That's public. Ukrainians praise Agent Melania for turning Trump against Putin. Who knows that's even true. Trump's new missiles will change face of Ukraine war as patience runs out. Donald Trump asked Zelensky if Ukraine could hit Moscow, say people briefed on call. Trump was asked by a reporter if he's going to give them the missiles to hit Moscow. He says, don't ask me questions like that. So that's some of what we've got. That reminds me of the guns of August, how World War I began. But these are the big issues we're dealing with, and there are bad people advising Trump to escalate these wars. That's, again, while we're here criticizing it as American citizens and as informed people, something the paid influencers that are supposedly on our side don't like. You're supposed to take whatever the corporate media claims Trump supports and support that mindlessly. Well, we're not going to do it. Now, hundreds of countries have lined up saying they're going to negotiate these deals favorably. A bunch have already done it. Trump has made a bunch of those announcements just in that same impromptu press conference you just saw part of. Trump to unveil $70 billion in AI energy investments and a lot more. I want to hit some of the economic news here in a moment. And then I want to get into what the World Economic Forum is up to, further breaking up our families. And we've got some big AI developments at the Pentagon we're going to be getting to as well. But here's Trump speaking about some of the economic developments.
Pittsburgh, we're going to be touting about, actually, going to be numbers like nobody's ever heard before. It's mostly to do with AI. We have tremendous investments being made, literally trillions of dollars of investments being made in our country on AI, artificial intelligence. I don't know if the word artificial is a good word, but that's the word. That's what they've chosen. So I think we're going to have a very successful trip. We had a good call with the Texas congressman this morning, as you probably heard, and that went very well. And do you have any questions? Yeah.
Mr. President, your reaction to the latest numbers from the Labor Department saying that inflation rose slightly last month?
Very slight. Essentially, they were exactly as anticipated. Very low inflation. So what you should do is lower the rate. The Fed should lower the rate immediately.
Is it because of tariffs? Did tariffs?
We had a big win with the Supreme Court on the Department of Education. We want, as you know, we want to bring education back to the states, take the federal government out of it. A little tiny bit of supervision, but very little, almost nothing. Like to make sure they speak English. That's about all we need.
Mr. President, what would you tell a student who might be in a struggling, failing school right now? What would you tell that?
Well, we have school choice, and we're getting school choice approved all over the country. We just got it done in Texas, and school choice is the answer. Yes.
Yes, Mr. President.
You've given Russia 50 days. What happens now? Do you talk to
All right, so let's stop there. We already played the Russia part of this. Now let's talk about some of the good news. U.S. Treasury Secretary Besant says formal process for Powell's successor has started. Bloomberg News reports. And it is the private Federal Reserve blocking interest rate cuts that they already done for the EU and others. It's the same banking cartel, literally. He's on the same board. But they're not letting us have that. And so Trump is moving to have him removed. That is very, very good news. This is on Fox Business. Trump on Fed Chair Powell. And then we'll go into Besant, Treasury Secretary, on inflation being stable and on the high-tech chips coming here and on the tariffs getting better and better, how much money they're bringing in. Let's play those clips back to back.
The economy is roaring, business confidence is soaring, incomes are up, prices are down, and inflation is dead. It's dead. We have a bad Fed chairman, really bad. If he would lower the rates, and I tried being nice to the guy, it doesn't help. He's like a knucklehead. No, he's a knucklehead. A stupid guy. He really is. You know, each point, think of this, each point costs us $360 billion.
And that's the point, Bill. The president wants rates to come down to make it cheaper to hold all this debt. We've got $37 trillion in debt. You say you're encouraged that you think Powell will step down. What specifically do you believe is the catalyst? Is it because he spent that money on a renovation at the Federal Reserve?
Well, I can't get inside of his head, but I can tell you what I'm hearing is that he's considering it. I think he should consider it. I think he should consider it very soon. And frankly, I think you have a situation, Maria, where this building is going to be the end of his career. I mean, who the heck spends $2.5 billion on a renovation? Jay Powell has become a disgrace. He's not reading the room. He's not listening to our great president. We have the greatest president in the history of the country. We have the most popular president in the history of this country. Why is Jay Powell not reading the room and also realizing that he has gross mismanagement with this building? I think, Maria, when the facts come out about this building, you will see potentially fraud and many other things that have gone on. And we can't have this stuff in the government. The American people gave President Trump a mandate. They don't want fraud. They don't want all this other nonsense. And Jay Powell doesn't seem to give a damn. And in my opinion, he needs to be held accountable.
We've had a string of softer than expected inflation reads in this country. We've had 4. We might get 5 at 8:30 Eastern time. Why do you believe that's signal and not noise?
Well, I mean, there's some persistence there, Jonathan. And look, I do have access to the number the night before, but when I'm coming on TV, I don't look at it, so I don't know what the number is going to be at 8:30. And I wouldn't, I don't know whether it's going to be down, up, or flat, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on one number. I think it's the trend, and I think one thing that Wall Street, a lot of economists, market in general got wrong early on was that tariffs were going to cause a substantial price level rise, which just hasn't happened.
And there are some people on the FOMC, the Federal Reserve, still worried about the prospect of that happening through the summer. Is firing the Federal Reserve chair under active consideration in the White House and the Treasury in your administration?
President Trump said numerous times he's not going to fire Jay Powell. He's working the refs. And I've said before, I'm a basketball fan. There are 2 schools of working the refs. There's the Bobby Knight School, and there's the Dean Smith School. President Trump seems to prefer the Bobby Knight School. And I'll tell you, I went back over the weekend and looked, and Bobby Knight won 3 NCAA championships. My hero, Dean Smith, only won 2.
NVIDIA is filing applications to sell the H20 GPU again. The U.S. government has assured the company that licenses will be granted, and NVIDIA hopes to start deliveries soon. Can you attest whether or not that's true or not? The United States is willing to let NVIDIA sell H20s once again in China?
Well, again, Anne-Marie, I think that'd be a judgment that the Chinese indigenous manufacturers, namely Huawei and some others, already have an equivalent chip. So, if there's an equivalent chip, then the NVIDIA H20 could be sold, because I can tell you the one thing that we do not want is a digital Belt and Road springing up around the world, because other countries or China are substituting for our American chip manufacturers.
This is the same chip, though, that the Trump administration blocked with export controls in April. So why the change in policy now?
Anne-Marie, you might say that that was a negotiating chip that we used in Geneva and in London.
So this was part of the trade talks when it comes to Washington and Beijing?
Yes.
Was it a quid pro quo then? As you said, it wasn't, but was it potentially to make sure that you can get the licenses when it comes to rare earths?
Yeah, I think it was all part of a mosaic. They had things we wanted, we had things they wanted, and we're in a very good place. I expect to meet my Chinese counterpart, the vice premier, in the next few weeks. President Trump's able to create a lot of leverage here, a lot of leverage, because he's indifferent. He's indifferent whether we take in the 30% rate or whether the Europeans come to us with a much better deal. As I've been saying for a while, that if countries or trading blocs don't come with their best deals, then the rates could boomerang back. tax. So President Trump's leading this, and what I will tell you is that a lot of the deals, and this is where his leadership's been invaluable, a lot of the deals that I thought were excellent deals keep getting improved upon every time he takes up the maximum pressure strategy.
There is a theory in markets, and you don't even have to calm them. They're pretty calm. They're watching all of these rates, and they're not freaking out in parlance on Wall Street. They're taking this in stride. We're close to all-time highs, if not at all-time highs. Do you see this as giving a green light to Trump, to President Trump, to